Oh, hey guys, are you looking for a midnight snack too? Yeah, I wonder if there's any leftover pizza. No, pizza usually isn't leftover, is it? Well, I'm gonna have to find something to satisfy those midnight cravings, huh? And, maybe some peas? No, that's not right. Well, let's see what I've got. I have some green onions. Got some eggs here. I have some onion as well. Avocados. Those are helpful. And, you know what? I've got an idea. I think that'll be just about right. If only I can find some bacon. One moment. Got it. So, I've got an idea for what we can make tonight. But you know what? Using all these ingredients to make something kind of reminds me of a story. Alright, guys, so the story that we're going to look at today will help us to answer the unit big question. The unit big question is something that we're going to see on our final test, so you'll want to make sure that you write it down. Our unit big question is this: how did the natural environment play a role in the settlement and life of Native Americans? Make sure you write that down on your Unit 1 video notes. So our story really begins with something called migration. Now, migration is the movement of people from one place to another. So the first Native Americans migrated or came from Asia by crossing the Bering Land Bridge. Thousands and thousands of years ago, the world was in what's known as an ice age. The climate was quite a bit cooler. Now, this created what we call the Bering Land Bridge, which was a large sheet of ice that connected Asia with Alaska. Now, thousands of years ago, people in Asia then migrated to North America and began what is now known as the pre-Columbian era. The time period before the year 1492 is known as the pre-Columbian era because it's before the arrival of Europeans such as Christopher Columbus. Now, why in the world did they ever want to leave Asia in the first place? Well, there's really two things. First of all, there were push factors. A push factor is a condition that drives people to leave their home. Now, in this case, a push factor for the first Americans, why they left Asia, was that their food was leaving Asia. Some of their food were animals such as woolly mammoths or elk or many other animals. And when those animals left Asia looking for warmer climates, looking for other food sources, the humans then followed. Now, they didn't just leave Asia, but they also then settled in America, and that's known as a pull factor. A pull factor is a condition that attracts people to a new area. In this case, it was that the food had moved, but also that the climate was warmer, that they found homes where nobody was already living. Those were some pull factors involved. And in this brand new world that the pre-Columbian peoples found, they found a very rich environment. Alright guys, so our bacon is now done, so we can... Alright, maybe I should use some safety materials here. Our bacon is done. So we take it out like so. Now, the key to getting really silky, really smooth, really beautiful scrambled eggs for our breakfast burritos is not milk, it is not bacon grease, it is actually butter. So, we'll take just a little bit of butter, put it in the pan, and let it melt. Okay, our next step then is going to be the eggs themselves. Here they are with just a tiny bit of water as well as some salt and pepper. That's going to make sure they are light and fluffy. Now, how do I know all this? The answer is experience. Just like the Native Americans understood their environment and natural resources over time, so I too am a master of experience.
The environment is all of the physical surroundings in a place, including the land, water, animals, plants, and climate, all the things that make one place unique. The Native Americans learned to use the natural resources of the environment. Natural resources are all those useful materials that can be used for things like food, clothing, and shelter, just like we did in our activity. Over time, the Native Americans discovered that growing their own food would enable them to settle in one place instead of just following animals or searching for edible plants, that making their own food was more stable and secure than just looking for food. And so we see that Native Americans settled in many different environments throughout North America. Over generations, groups of Native Americans developed their own cultures, their own ways of life. Groups living in the same type of environment often adapted, often created, and formed similar ways that historians have grouped into cultural regions.
Alright, so we have all of our items now finished, all done. Now, one of the most crucial ingredients is, of course, the tortilla. Now, of course, tortillas were first created by ancient pre-Columbian people. Now, they weren't made with flour, like these ones, which were just what I had available, but actually with corn was very, very common, and that was really one of the staples of the pre-Columbian people's diets. So, here I've got my tortillas. I'm going to just stick some bacon on it because I love bacon. And then I'll scoop in some of the oh so luscious, oh so smooth scrambled eggs, like so. And then the next step is to cut up some of the green onions, also called scallions, on top. So here I am. I just think it gives it a little bit more flavor, like so. And then our next step is going to be to top with some queso Oaxaca, a Oaxacan Mexican cheese, right on top as well. And there we have it. Some wonderful, delicious snacks that will hopefully keep us nice and full before that terrible alarm rings in the morning. So, time to wake up.
Although there were many differences between the cultural regions, there were also some similarities amongst many different Native American pre-Columbian groups as well. For example, many Native Americans viewed nature as something that was very sacred, that each part of nature had its own spirit. The wind, the trees, the rivers, each had a different spiritual element to it. They didn't really believe that land was something that could be owned by one person or one tribe, but rather that the people inhabiting or living in a certain area had a deep connection to the land that required them to guard and protect and manage the land. So while many Europeans saw land ownership as something that was possible, the Native Americans really didn't, which is one reason why conflict will later on ensue. So in class next time, we're going to talk a bit about those cultural regions and learn about the sorts of people that lived in them. But for now, make sure that your video notes are completed, that they are finished, and you understand the material in this video. Next time that you make some food at home, just think to yourself, I'm using my natural resources. I'm utilizing the things that are available just like the Native Americans were able to.